So when, like I said, if they would just then come on back in here, or not even come back in here, just get that off their shoulders. How come you haven't quit?
Well, I wanted to get my black belt. That's my main goal in my life.
Why?
So I can get easier jobs and I would get in college easier.
How's that going to help you get into college or get a job?
Like, I think they're like looking for black belts and like people like me all the time.
Mm-hmm. So you haven't quit because you want to get your black belt so it'll help you in life. What kind of benefits have you got from your training so far?
Like, I learned how to defend myself from like all the elements.
Mm-hmm.
Wind, stepping off line, fire charging, and water absorbing.
Mm-hmm. What principles have you learned in this martial art that you've used outside of this school in a non-physical manner? It's a tough one. Just think about it for a little bit, okay? How come you haven't quit?
Because I love doing this, and it's really fun. And before I did this, I tried a lot of other sports, but this was the one thing that clicked.
Why did this click when the other sports didn't?
I don't know. Maybe it's just because, I mean, this is physical and stuff, but like say soccer, you're always having to do this, and this. But here, you guys do a really good job, and you guys take it slow. When I don't understand something, you guys like go back and you tell me, this is what you're doing wrong. This is what you need to work on.
What's changed about you since you started your training?
When I started, I used to be quiet. I wouldn't yell or anything, and I would be kind of shy. But now that I'm at the point in my training and outside where I can go to people and say, hi, how are you doing? I'm Peyton. What's your name? And I can talk to people. I just don't go.
Well, I've heard you coaching with the Little Dragons and Little Ninja, and you do a fantastic job. You step right out of your shell, and you speak real well, and you interact with them very well.
Thank you.
Do you know of any principles you've learned in here that you've used outside of here in a non-physical manner? I mean, you just told me one. The self-confidence. That's okay, don't worry about it. How come you haven't quit?
Because I actually see the goals attainable.
Yeah.
I can finish where I started. It's built self-confidence. I know I can do it.
You know you can do it. What's changed about you since you started your training?
I think, well, in everyday life, I feel better apt to handle anything that comes my way. You know, say you interact with an abrupt person, you don't flap a handle like, you know, I would either run away from it or be aggressive toward it, and I can think more clearly and maybe diffuse a situation, and it may turn out better than if it would without the training.
Okay. And what about you is going to change when you achieve your black belt? I mean, it's just a piece of cloth that you wrap around your waist.
It is. Just confidence in myself.
Okay. How come you haven't quit?
Well, this is what I've always wanted to do. I've always loved martial arts. When I'd heard about this way back in the day, because the values that are teach, the mindful action, it's so much more than just the physical. The family that we have here in the dojo. I've never experienced anything outside of my immediate family. I've never experienced this kind of camaraderie and people who actually want me to succeed just because they want me to succeed.
Yeah. So they're genuinely helping you?
Yes, sir.
How come you haven't quit?
Sorry, sir, I have just a simple answer. I don't quit.
Okay. What's going to change about you when you get your black belt?
Nothing really. I mean, don't mean that lightly. I mean, I'll have all this knowledge. I've completed one journey and I started a new journey. Everything here has been kind of core and instilled into me. So to say something's going to change because I put a black belt on, that's not necessarily true. I don't mean that in a negative way. I don't want people to take that in a negative way, but I mean, I'm still the same.
What principles that you've learned in here have you used outside of here in a non-physical way?
Patience. I would be the most impatient person, and I mean, I still have some flaws on that, but I mean, I take a breath.
Were you the guy that didn't hold the door for her?
No, actually, I always open the door. Always open. But
Patience how? Just in general?
in overall, just with the things that I would, being late, because, you know, the kids would be making me late, or just a lot more, just taking a breath. Letting it slide off the shoulder.
Letting it slide off. Jim, I didn't ask you what principles you use out of here, outside of here.
Well, it's I deal with the world differently now. It's like Mr. Johnson was saying, I'm able to let things kind of roll off my back more.
Well, I happened to read your black belt essay, so I know how it's affected your world. So, you know, hanging out with larger than 3 people, a group of larger than 3 people, you know, and
Yes,
being
sir.
comfortable in it. Should I ask the black belt, sir?
Yeah, please.
How come you still drink?
Well, at some point in my training, I realized that you take more outside of the dojo than you learn inside the dojo. You don't realize that your life is a rut or a groove, depending on how you look at it, and you don't examine how you can better yourself. And the martial arts are part of it, and the philosophy is part of it, the physical training, the mental training. But the focus that you gain, the tolerant patience, the path of the protector, looking out for others, all of that, new ways to handle problems, family situations. I just can't believe the things you can get out of this dojo.
How about yourself, ma'am?
I mean, there's so many things you can say, and some of them are too. I mean, I love it. I get excited when I lie in bed at night and I think about it. Just like, can't wait to go to work tomorrow. I can't wait. But I think the main thing is, since I started training and became, you know, kind of like Mr. Johnson said, when you become a black belt, it is a cloth around you, but you're just starting a new journey. There's so much stuff you already learned. It's just, it doesn't hit you all of a sudden. You kind of take some time to understand, hey, I'm a black belt now. But I think the most important thing is I have learned, I just have this ego, and I've learned to literally care about people more than I ever will. Ever. You know, I always thought that humans were born evil, they were born mean, people are just mean. But it's not true, and I just have like this bigger love of human life ever since I did this.
Mr. Ellis?
I just to echo everybody, I mean, the training's just beginning. I think the road's the same, we're on the same road, but I feel like now I'm in the passing lane. I'm going in the same direction, but now I'm over here going faster, learning new techniques.
Yeah, but you got your black belt, so why
I
don't
know,
you
but
just
it's-
quit?
It is, but I'm still heading that path, but now I'm over here going in that direction. So it's an entirely different thought process. It's kind of, we were talking about the other day, Dr. Lokai and I, it's kind of just renewed your desire to train. It does.
Yeah. I think that once you get to the 1st degree black belt, you've reached a peak on a mountain, and no longer are you looking up one path to the top of the mountain, but now you're looking down and see that, wow, there were several paths to take to get up here. I chose this one, maybe you're choosing that one, so you have a broader perspective of life, I personally believe. And it continues to grow. It continues to grow. Trust me. You got to trust me on it. I still get excited laying in bed at night. I get butterflies in my stomach thinking about training. And for doing it as long as I have, to still do that. It's an amazing thing.